From translation, NKJV New King James Version, this 149th day of the year, today we are reading passages, Nehemiah 12-13, Nehemiah chapter 12, verses 1 to 47. These are the priests and the Levites who came up with Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Malach, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rehum, Meremoth, Iddo, Ginnethoi, Abijah, Mijamin, Mardiah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, Joiarib, Jediah, Sallu, Amok, Hilkiah, Jediah. These were the leaders of the priests and their brethren in the days of Jeshua. Moreover the Levites, Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, who led the thanksgiving, he and his brethren. Also Bakbukiah and Unni, their brethren, were opposite them in the watches. Jeshua begot Joachim, Joachim begot Eliashib, Eliashib begot Joiada, Joiada begot Jonathan, and Jonathan begot Jaddua. In the days of Joachim were priests, the heads of the fathers' houses, of Sariah, Moriah, of Jeremiah, Hananiah, of Ezra, Meshullam, of Amariah, Jehohanan, of Malach, Jonathan, of Shebaniah, Joseph, of Harim, Idnah, of Meremoth, Helkai, of Iddo, Zechariah, of Ginnethan, Meshullam, of Abijah, Zikri, of Miniamin, of Modiah, Piltai, of Bilgah, Shammua, of Shemaiah, Jehinathan, of Joiarib, Mattanai, of Jediah, Uzi, of Salai, Kalai, of Amok, Eber, of Hilkiah, Hashabiah, of Jediah, Nesanel. As for the Levites, in the days of Eliashib, Joiada, and Johanan, and Jaddua, they were recorded as heads of the fathers' houses. And as such they were faithful in ministering to the house of God. In the time of Joachim, the son of Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and in the days of Nehemiah the governor, and of Ezra the priest and scribe, the Levites were recorded in the genealogies. The leaders of the Levites were Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Jeshua the son of Kadmiel, with their brethren opposite them, to praise and to thank, according to the commandment of David the man of God, their watch versus watch. Mattaniah, Bakbukiah, Obadiah, Meshullam, Talmon, and Akkub were gatekeepers keeping charge at the storehouses of the gates. These were in the days of Joachim the son of Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and in the days of Nehemiah the governor and of Ezra the priest, the scribe. Now at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem they sought out the Levites in all their places, to bring them to Jerusalem to celebrate the dedication with gladness, both with thanksgivings and singing, with cymbals, stringed instruments, and harps. And the sons of the singers gathered together from the region around Jerusalem, from the villages of the Netophathites, also from the house of Gilgal, and out of the fields of Jebah and Asmaveth. For the singers had built themselves villages around Jerusalem. Then the priests and Levites purified themselves, and purified the people, the gates, and the wall. So I brought the leaders of Judah up on the wall and appointed 2 large thanksgiving choirs. One went to the right hand on the wall toward the refuse gate. After them went Hoshea, half of the leaders of Judah, and Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah. And some of the priests' sons with trumpets, Zechariah the son of Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micaiah, the son of Zachar, the son of Asaph. And his brethren, Shemaiah, Aziel, Milalai, Gilalai, Mari, Nethanel, Judah, and Hanani, with the musical instruments of David the man of God. And Ezra the scribe went before them. By the fountain gate, in front of them, they went up the stairs of the city of David, on the stairway of the wall, above the house of David, to the water gate on the east. The other thanksgiving choir went opposite to them, and I followed them with the half of the people over the wall and through the valley of the ash trees, and went over the fountain gate, and went straight to the king's gate, on the way of the stairs of the ascent of the wall of the city of David. Then they went up by the stairway of the wall of the upper palace, at the wall of the guard. They passed by the house of David, and went in at the water gate in the east. So the 2 thanksgiving choirs stood in the house of God, and I also and half the rulers with me. And the priests Eliakim, Maaseiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elionai, Zechariah, and Hananiah, with trumpets, and Maaseiah, Shemaiah, Eleazar, Uzi, Jeshua, Binnui, and Shimei were in the choir. And the priests and the Levites purified themselves, and purified the people, the gates, and the wall. So I brought the joy of Judah, because they had done this work faithfully, and they performed it with a whole heart. And on that day they offered great sacrifices, and rejoiced, for God had made them rejoice with great joy. The women also and the children rejoiced, so that the joy of Jerusalem was heard even afar off. And they performed the service of their God and the service of purification, as well as the gatekeepers and the singers and the Levites, according to the command of David and his son Solomon. For in the days of David and Asaph of old there were chief of the singers, and songs of praise and thanksgiving to God. And all Israel in the days of Zerubbabel and in the days of Nehemiah gave the portions for the singers and the gatekeepers, for their daily work. And they set apart the holy portions for the Levites, and the Levites set apart the holy portions for the sons of Aaron. Nehemiah chapter 13, Verses 1 to 31. On that day they read from the book of Moses in the hearing of the people. And in it was found written that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever come into the assembly of God, because they had not met the children of Israel with bread and water, but hired Balaam against them to curse them. However, our God turned the curse into a blessing. So when they heard the law, they separated all the mixed multitude from Israel. Now before this, Eliashib the priest, having authority over the storerooms of the house of our God, was allied to Tobiah, and had prepared for him a large room, where formerly they had stored the grain offering, the frankincense and the articles, and the tithes of grain, the new wine and oil, which were commanded to be given to the Levites and singers and gatekeepers, and the offerings for the priests. But during all this time I was not in Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes king of Babylon I had gone to the king. After some time I asked leave of the king, and returned to Jerusalem. Then I discovered the evil that Eliashib had done for Tobiah, by preparing a room for him in the courts of the house of God. And it grieved me very much, therefore I threw all the household goods of Tobiah out of the room. Then I commanded them to cleanse the rooms, and I brought back the articles of the house of God, with the grain offering and the frankincense. And I realized that the portions for the Levites had not been given them, for each of the Levites and the singers who performed the work had gone back to his field. So I contended with the rulers and said, "Why is the house of God forsaken?" And I gathered them together and set them in their place. Then all Judah brought the tithes of the grain, and the new wine, and the oil to the storehouses. And I appointed treasurers over the storehouses, Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and Pedaiah of the Levites, and next to them Hanan the son of Zaccur, the son of Mattaniah. For they were considered faithful, and their duty was to distribute to their brethren. Remember me, O my God, concerning this, and do not wipe out my good deeds that I have done for the house of God and its services. In those days I saw people in Judah treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves, and loading donkeys with wine, grapes, figs, and all kinds of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I warned them about the day on which they were selling provisions. Men from Tyre who lived in the city brought fish and all kinds of goods, and sold them on the Sabbath to the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said to them, "What evil thing is this that you do, by which you profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all this disaster on us and on this city? Yet you bring more wrath on Israel by profaning the Sabbath." So it was at the gates of Jerusalem, as it began to be dark before the Sabbath, that I commanded the gates to be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And I posted some of my servants at the gates, so that no burdens would be brought in on the Sabbath day. Now the merchants and sellers of all kinds of lodged outside Jerusalem once or twice. Then I warned them and said to them, "Why do you spend the night around the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you." From that time on they came no more on the Sabbath. So I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and that they should go and guard the gates, to sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my God, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of your mercy. In those days I also saw Jews who had married women of Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. And half of their children spoke the language of Ashdod, and could not speak the language of Judah, but spoke according to the language of each people. And I contended with them and cursed them, struck some of them and pulled out their hair, and made them swear by God, saying, "You shall not give your daughters as wives for their sons, nor take their daughters for your sons or for yourselves." Should we then hear that you do all this great evil, acting unfaithfully against our God by marrying pagan women? And one of the sons of Joiada, the son of Eliashib the high priest, was a son-in-law to Sanballat the Horonite. Therefore I drove him from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. Thus I cleansed them of everything pagan. I also assigned the duties of the priests and the Levites, each to his work. And I made provision for the grain offering, the frankincense, and the tithes, ordering them to be brought into the storerooms for the contributions of the house of God, which were for the priests and Levites. For Judah was glad by the priests and Levites who ministered.